let's just sew whatever.
Today I am making the Peekaboo Beauty Bag, but in clear as a shaker bag. I'm really excited. I'm gonna start by prepping my zipper. So I do it a little bit differently than listed in the pattern, but both ways are fine. I'm using 1 inch by like 1.5 inch little cutouts for zipper ends to enclose each end of a 13-inch zipper. And then I'll trim the excess. So encasing the ends, I'm going to start and then backstitch when I get to the actual zipper, backstitch again, and then continue on. I like to have my zipper tabs a little bit longer because it's easier to sew them and then trim the excess away. Oh. So there is our zipper completed. And then, so I've got glitter pieces here, and then I've got 8 by 7 inch back pieces, and then 8 by 10 front pieces for the Peekaboo. Oh yeah, oh I'm so stupid. I had taken my thread out. It sewed for a little bit, that's good. Alright, so I have not made this before. I'm deconstructing how I want to sew it in my head. I don't want to add too much bulk across the zipper. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's 3/8 of an inch from the top edge. I think that looks good. So hopefully you can see that there. I'm gonna sew across the bottom. Okay. And now that becomes the lining, the piece with the seam. That is the lining. So I'm going to repeat that on the other side. I'm going to lay the smaller clear piece over top 3/8 of an inch from the top edge, lining up the widths. And I'm just going to sew across the bottom. Okay. All right, and then we're going to make sure that we've got right side facing up, so the side without a seam. And I'm going to lay my side panels right sides together. And then using, honestly, whatever seam allowance you would like is fine. I'm gonna just go ahead and use 3/8 consistently, but you could even just use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, that would be fine. So we're gonna repeat that on all 4 edges. Make sure that your corner cutouts are mirrored along the bottom, and there should be that little gap. That's going to help create a nice sturdy bag. And kind of hide that seam. Okay. So now I'm going to top stitch this. I'm going to open it, top stitch. stitch. And you can top stitch once or twice along that seam. So if you want to add a second row so that that doesn't lift, you can. I'm not going to worry about it though. Oh my god, this is so fun. Ooh, I need to remember to add a woven label to this seam too. Okay, so working on the other side, again, make sure your layers don't shift, they're lined up. Make sure that your seamed edge is on the inside. So there's that little lip that goes on the inside of your bag. Ooh. What's kind of fun about the clear vinyl is you don't need clips. You definitely want to use a Teflon or a walking foot, and then make sure you check your tension before you get started. Some machines are not a fan. My machine does okay, thank goodness. Okay. So I'm going to set my zipper down. And I'm just, you could use tape here if you wanted. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So I'm gonna baste this down really quick. Just sewing from, I'm using about 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just following the edge of my vinyl, basically. End to end on the zipper, back stitch. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my glitter, etc. into this little pocket. So I've got this polymer clay glitter I'm gonna dump in there. Ah! Oh my god, I love it. It's so good. It's the little things, right? So maybe that's too much, I don't know, but that's gonna be fun. And then we're going to flip our zipper and that seam down, and when we top stitch, we're covering that opening without adding a ton of bulk. So make sure you keep your glitter, etc. down low. I gotta add real glitter too. It's too much fun. If you're worried about glitter coming loose from your stitches, maybe switch it to a smaller stitch length. And then again, make sure you keep your extra items out of the way. We're gonna fold this down and top stitch from end to end. So the only bit of bulk that we need to worry about is where we attached our side panels. So just be careful, go slow. And then make sure you can feel that you're catching that edge of the insert, the lining. So I'm kind of top stitching the zipper at about 1/4 of an inch from that top edge. And then, I mean, even if you needed to, you could sew one more time over all of that. But I'm feeling underneath and I've caught everything. I love it so much. So you don't have to do both sides of the bag if you don't want to, but what kind of monster would I be if I didn't? So I'm gonna use a little less stuff this time. Maybe I'll add a little more glitter. Okay. So making sure I line that up evenly. We're gonna do, oh, yeah, okay, that could work too. So I just did it a little bit differently than I did previously, but it's not that big of a deal. But we're gonna do 1/4 of an inch. It does make it really kind of heavy, honestly. So now I'm gonna flip this panel over, making sure that none of the glitter escapes, and top stitch. Ah! Yeah, that's what I thought. That's okay, I didn't lose much. You could even like maybe add a piece of tape to this or something too. Okay. So keep all that as close to the bottom as you can. No. Flip this the other way. Yep, there we go. Sorry. There we go. So that's what that is looking like. Double check that we've caught all the open edges possible, and it feels pretty good. Trim our excess threads. I'm going to unzip my zipper about halfway, and then I'm going to put right sides together, lining up side panels. And this is going to be about 1/4 of an inch. Backstitch at the beginning and the end. And I like to backstitch at the corner and then bring the other corner up to it with as little thread excess as possible. And then continue on. Backstitch. Move to the next corner. Not today, Bobbin. And then all that's left to do is square the bottom of the bag. So flattening the bottom, backstitching, and then you can either butterfly open that seam, laying it flat, or you can nest them, pushing them in opposite directions. I'm going to go ahead and do my best to butterfly, backstitch over that center seam, backstitch over the end. You want to make sure you don't backstitch too much, or you could just perforate your vinyl. And then we'll do the other corner. Okay, that's it. So now we're just gonna turn this right side out. And since we use TPU, it's really flexible. If you use PVC, it's gonna be super stiff and you might need to warm it up to turn. But, oh my God. I love it. So I wanted the seam that we pieced together to be a little bit underneath the bag so it's not glaringly obvious that it's there, and it makes those side panels stand up really nicely and makes the glitter stop in just the right part. It's so ridiculous and fun. I don't know that I needed to do both panels, but here we are. Maybe I'll put some stuff in there for Dorothy to play with, or I'll just keep it forever as a fidget toy. But I hope you enjoyed making the Shaker Clear Peekaboo Beauty Bag with me. You will need the original pattern to cut out these pieces, but what's not included is the backing of the shaker pocket, possibly the zipper tabs, and then it's a 13-inch end-to-end zipper. Hopefully soon we can update the pattern to include all the fun different ways to make it. Now I will show y'all how I make just a clear peekaboo. This one doesn't have anything extra fancy, just clear, which is still fun. But man, I love glitter. Alright. I am using a clear zipper tape as well. I've cut this to 13 inches from end to end. So I am gonna start by adding my zipper tabs. And I don't think there's like a right or a wrong way on this vinyl from Zipper Valley, so I think we'll be okay. This is a thicker TPU than I am used to working with, but it's not bad. When I ordered from Zipper Valley, I felt like, not that there was necessarily like inconsistency, but that they've been trying different products, I would say, to pick their favorites more or less. Okay, so clear zipper tape is fun, but difficult to work with. So just make sure that you can tell that you're catching all the layers of your zipper tab. I'm just folding the tab over the end. Close that off, make sure your zipper pull is attached, and just check to make sure that you've caught all your layers on both sides, and then you can trim off your excess tab pieces. What's really cool about the clear like PVC zipper tape, there's no fraying. So that's cool. But you can't really iron it. You could warm up your ironing board to help smooth it out if you wanted to. Alrighty. So you should have 2 of your main panels and then 4 total of your side panels. These should be cut in opposite directions, mirrored sets. And then the seam allowance, you decide. It's totally up to you. I really don't see a difference between either side of this. So you're going to lay it face down, right sides together on your main panel. And did I say seam allowance is up to you? You could use 1/4, you could use 3/8. I'm going to go ahead and do close to 3/8 just because I feel like it's a little bit easier to top stitch. And then you can add a woven label wherever you would like to, but I kind of like it on this seam here. And then instead of doing this side and this side, just you can production sew in a row. And we'll flip this, continue on the other side. A lot of extra concentration when sewing with clear vinyl. Okay, so however you lay it down, just make sure that your corner notches are mirrored at the bottom of your fabric. And then we're going to open that seam, and it's up to you if you want to press the seam towards your main panel or if you want to fold it out towards your exterior panel. I think because this TPU star is so thick, I'm going to top stitch it on the main panel, which is also going to help hide my woven label seam allowance a little bit. So you'll see I'll kind of cover it up. And you could even add a little zipper pocket to this main panel if you wanted, or a slip pocket. There's all kinds of ways to kind of customize it however you would like. Now that that portion is done, we're just ready to add our zipper. So we're going to center that along the top panel. It's up to you at this point if you want to add any double-sided tape. I don't think I'll need to because the vinyl is kind of sticking to itself. And then your double-sided tape isn't necessarily see-through, so just be mindful of that. And then you can use a 1/4 to a 3/8 inch seam allowance to attach your zipper. And then we're going to open this up and top stitch. And you're going to fold that seam down. So there's our zipper attached. There's the main panel and the side panels. It's kind of busy, but I'm kind of loving it. So then you want to line up your main panels and side panels. Make sure they're all even. And then we're going to add our zipper to the other top edge, like that. And then you can sew from end to end if you want, or you can just do zipper end to zipper end for this part. I'm going to do end to end. I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to do the final top stitch. And then it's a 1/4 to a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Make sure you're doing more than 1/8. I think the first couple times I did this, I was doing like 1/8 of an inch, and top stitching it was really hard because I just had this little tiny edge to fold over, and you really need more than that. So I just used my little screwdriver to help me flatten the layers. And that's all complete. We're going to unzip it, fold it in half on itself, making sure you line up those bottom corners. And then make sure you line up your sides of that folded over edge. Backstitch really well at the top. Come on down. This is where I do a little backstitch, and then I'll bring the other bottom up. And that just saves thread and makes it easier for us to square the bottom corners. So I'll pivot, backstitch, continue sewing, and then backstitch. You don't want to backstitch so much that you perforate your vinyl and it makes little holes. So just be mindful of that. So now we're just going to square the bottom of our bag, pressing my hand inside, which is our exterior, and pushing those corners together, lining up the side seams. This is where you can decide if you want to nest or butterfly, and I'm going to nest. This vinyl is just a little too thick. However you nest that seam, just make sure you do it the same on the other side so that your bottom seam is flat, not twisted from one side to the other. And repeat on the other side, and then I've got my seam pushing this way, so I want to make sure that my seam is pressing that way when I put the other side together too. And then we'll just flip it. You can trim down your seam allowances a little bit if you want to, but these are just going to add some extra spine to the bag, so I'm not worried about it. And then you push out those corners to give it a nice look. So you just want to make sure you can pop your finger into that little corner. And then there is your little clear makeup bag. It's never gets old. So much fun. So now I've shown you 2 different ways you can make it. You could also use a jelly vinyl, etc. if you would like Thank you so much to my friend Brittany at the Emporium for coming up with this idea and allowing others to kind of make videos as well. I will see you all in my next one. Bye. You gonna say bye, Ben? Come here, say bye. No? You wanna say bye? Look, right there. Okay, bye.